Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and support me guys. Let's start today's new story. Imagine the moment your world tilts, when a single revelation shatters the trust you've held dear for years. This is the story of Emma, a young woman who uncovered a devastating secret about her father, Daniel, during a weekend that began with promise but ended in heartbreak. What follows is a powerful, original narrative, crafted with new names and free of reviews or copyright concerns, designed to pull you into a whirlwind of emotion and truth. Emma, a 24-year-old graphic designer, lived a busy life in the city, but she always made time for her father, Daniel. A widower in his late 50s, Daniel was her rock, kind, dependable, and fiercely protective since her mother passed away a decade earlier. Their bond was unbreakable, or so Emma thought. When Daniel invited her to spend a quiet weekend at their family cabin in the mountains, she jumped at the chance to escape her hectic routine and reconnect. The cabin, nestled by a serene lake and surrounded by towering pines, held memories of happier times, summers with her parents, laughter echoing through the trees. Emma arrived on a crisp autumn evening, the air sharp with the scent of pine and wood smoke. Daniel greeted her with his usual warmth, a steaming mug of cocoa in hand, and they settled in for what Emma expected to be a weekend of nostalgic chats and board games by the fire. The unsettling discovery. The first night passed uneventfully, filled with stories of Daniel's recent woodworking projects and Emma's latest design clients. But the next morning, while Daniel was out chopping firewood, Emma decided to tidy up the cabin. As she dusted the old bookshelf, a small, locked box tucked behind a row of novels caught her eye. It was out of place, its sleek metal surface gleaming against the worn wood. Curiosity piqued, she searched for the key, eventually finding it taped beneath a drawer in her father's bedroom. Her heart raced as she opened the box. Inside were letters, dozens of them, neatly bundled with a red ribbon. The handwriting was unfamiliar, elegant and looping, and the envelopes bore postmarks from the past 2 years. Emma's stomach churned as she read the first letter, addressed to "My dearest Daniel," and signed by someone named Clara. The words were intimate, filled with longing and promises of secret meetings. Each letter revealed more. Clara was a woman Daniel had been seeing, someone he'd met at a local art gallery and grown close to, too close. Emma's hands trembled. Her father, the man who'd mourned her mother so deeply, was entangled in a hidden romance. But that wasn't the worst of it. One letter mentioned a weekend Daniel had spent with Clara at the cabin, the very place Emma thought was sacred to their family's memories. The betrayal stung, not because Daniel had moved on, but because he'd kept it a secret, letting Emma believe their bond was built on honesty. The confrontation. When Daniel returned, arms full of firewood, Emma couldn't hold back. She held up the letters, her voice shaking. "Who's Clara, Dad? How could you lie to me?" The air grew thick with tension. Daniel's face paled, and for a moment, he looked like a stranger. He stammered, trying to explain, but his words felt hollow. Clara, he admitted, was a woman he'd met 2 years ago. He hadn't told Emma because he feared she'd feel betrayed, that she'd think he was replacing her mother. "But you brought her here," Emma said, her voice breaking. "This was our place. Mom's place." Daniel's eyes filled with tears, but Emma's anger burned hotter. She felt like the cabin, once a sanctuary, had been tainted. The weekend unraveled from there. Emma packed her things, unable to stay in a place now steeped in deception. Daniel begged her to stay to talk, but she needed space to process the fracture in their trust. The aftermath. Back in the city, Emma grappled with her emotions. She loved her father, but the secrecy cut deep. Over the next few weeks, she ignored his calls, wrestling with questions. Should she meet Clara? Could she forgive Daniel for hiding the truth? Eventually, she agreed to meet him at a coffee shop. There Daniel opened up fully. Clara wasn't just a fling. She was someone he cared for deeply, but his guilt over moving on had kept him silent. He apologized, not just for the secrecy but for underestimating Emma's strength to handle the truth. Emma didn't forgive him right away. Trust, she realized, was like the cabin's old wooden beams, sturdy until cracked and slow to repair. But she agreed to meet Clara, a warm, kind-hearted artist who respected Emma's bond with her father. Slowly, Emma began to see her father not as a betrayer, but as a man navigating his own grief and fear of change. The resolution. Months later, Emma returned to the cabin with Daniel and Clara. It wasn't the same. How could it be? But as they sat by the lake, sharing stories under the stars, Emma felt a flicker of hope. The cabin was no longer just a shrine to the past. It was a place where new memories could take root. Her relationship with Daniel would never be as simple as it once was, but it was stronger for the truth they'd faced together. This story, born from a moment of discovery, explores the fragile lines of trust and the courage it takes to rebuild. Emma's journey reminds us that even the deepest bonds can fracture, but with honesty and time, they can mend in ways that make us whole again.